Another show, here we are, and quite the doozy, starting with the most devastating footage. Frightening. If you have tuned into MAGA media, you would have been told that we have the scandal of all scandals here. And that's where we begin. Before I show you Leavitt breaking this down for us, telling us why we should be so troubled, let me remind you what we talked about on the bonus show, which is footage I saw is very unremarkable, which was this: as Melania and Donald were headed into the UN for Trump to deliver a very confused and baffling speech, they hopped onto the escalator and it stopped, as you see there. To which many people went, "Oh, the escalator stopped." But if you're in MAGA world, that footage is the most devastating and must be indicative of a plot to either or, one or the other, cause physical suffering for Melania and Donald because the escalator stopped when they got on it, or it was a plot for assassination? Huh? Now, I get being upset. Like, I have told the story, I hurt my ankle a lot. And so we were just over the weekend in Los Angeles, and I walked up to this big thing of stairs, but there was an escalator. So great, I can hobble my way over to the escalator, get on it. But it wasn't running, and I was very upset because then I had to walk, and that hurt my ankle a lot. But this is being some plot that needs to be investigated. It feels a little bit to be an overreaction. Let me get to some of these responses, starting with Karoline Leavitt.
All right, Karoline, it does appear to be sabotage with the escalator and the teleprompter. What is the White House going to do about that?
Well, Jesse, that's definitely what it appears to be to me, and that's why I put out a statement earlier. There was some concerning reporting over the weekend from the London Times, as you pointed out, that UN globalist staffers were basically plotting to set up the President of the United States. And first it was the escalator, then it was the teleprompter, and then Katie Pavlich from Town Hall, who we offered a seat in the press pool to cover the President's historic speech today, noticed that the audio inside of the room was much lower and different for the President of the United States than the previous speaker. So when you put all of this together, it doesn't look like a coincidence to me. And I know that we have people, including the United States Secret Service, who are looking into this to try to get to the bottom of it. And if we find that these were UN staffers who were purposefully trying to literally trip up the President and the First Lady of the United States, well, there better be accountability for those people. And I will personally see to it, Jesse.
Good.
So I'm not saying it's impossible that some UN staffers were being inappropriate and botched purposely the audio and the teleprompter. The escalator, that seems... okay. But we actually do have an answer that's as we went over on the bonus show, but there's so much more here, that seems a little bit more plausible. But doesn't the Secret Service have other more important things to do? What is it? They're gonna, I guess, look at the footage. All right, look at it. Go look at the camera footage. A right-wing account called Cernovich said the second that escalator stopped, bullets should been flying at the UN staffers who orchestrated this attack, rendering our president a sitting duck. Hey, whoa! Take a second. This is the protocol, you think? The Secret Service just starts shooting at people when escalators stop? Cernovich was on something. He said what happened today at the UN was a dry run for an assassination. Our enemies were able to see the reaction or lack thereof. Trump was a sitting duck. Extreme measures must now be taken against the UN, including leaving the UN totally. Am I seeing the same footage that you guys are seeing? It stopped and they were fine. This does make me think about on yesterday's show. I know this is a touchy topic, but me kind of poking fun, making light, one of the configurations of this idea that it was some assassination attempt. But a right-wing account, Johnny MAGA, had a different take, saying, in all seriousness, if the stopped escalator was an act of sabotage, whoever is responsible must be severely punished. Melania lost her balance and had to quickly grab the rails. The president and first lady could have fallen and been injured. Let's watch again just to see. It didn't seem that scary to me, but okay. Johnny MAGA says it could have been sabotage, and that leads one to ponder, what is the theory here? Imagine someone being like, all right, it's time. We're going to take out the first. This is just, it's so absurd is why I'm saying it. We're going to take out the first lady. Sir, what an insane suggestion. How would we even do that? All right, she's going to be at the UN. We sabotage the escalator. Oh my gosh, like we make it crumble so then they fall down into the void that's in there with all the moving parts. No, we'll just have it stop. And then what? That's it. I can do some damage. What is the theory? And then the whole sitting duck thing, they're inside the UN building. Maybe you have a little bit more of an argument if, and we'll get to what the actual explanation seems to be, which makes it even more funny, but if he was outside in a really dangerous area and then the escalator stops and that makes him not move, so then if someone would try to shoot him, then it would stop, but they have to partner do. But he was inside of what has to be one of the most secure buildings, no? Like all the world leaders are there. Trump stops and stands still constantly inside of this building. It doesn't even track. Why? I get that we're in a really troubling, tense time, but does everything have to be the Secret Service should have just started indiscriminately shooting at people? It feels just a little bit like you were on something when you were posting that. Gosh, Cernovich. And then Fox News, I mean, all over this. While we continue through this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show. Millions of people every month watch the show who aren't subscribed. It would make all the difference if all of you folks who like the show but just haven't yet done it, click that button. Here is Laura Ingram's show.
Now, the UN's brushing it off, of course, as telling Fox that someone from the president's party ran ahead of the president, inadvertently triggering the stop mechanism of that escalator. But, you know, maybe that is what happened there. But it seems to be a lot of things happening. All three in less than an hour, Tim?
Yeah, it sure does, Laura. And I tell you, you'd stand more of a chance of getting hit by lightning than to have all these things happen at one time, especially the very second that the president was getting ready to step up. And let's be clear, Laura, you've been part of these events. The Secret Service is meticulous in planning every item that the president's going to be near or touch. They're going to thoroughly investigate all systems. They're going to make sure they're working. And so I find it bizarre that just coincidentally, all these things just don't happen to work for the president when they work for everybody else. Very curious, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and so if someone runs ahead in the elevator, an automatic thing stop? I don't even understand that. Do you understand?
Escalator is what we're talking about. We've all done it, though, before.
Know what he's saying, the spokesman for the UN?
Yeah, I do understand what he's saying. I think it's a far-fetched explanation. Here's why. Technical Security Division for the U.S. Secret Service, they analyze all of the mechanics, obviously for evacuation reasons, safety reasons. So if somebody just recklessly ran ahead, it's probably news to the Technical Security Division because that's just not logical. And to your point, it's interesting that the system failures happened with the microphone. Remember, you've been there again. The staff tests all this stuff out. It's not just the Secret Service. You have the White House staff there. So none of this makes sense. And it seems to me at the best suspicious.
Yeah, and then
yeah. Okay, so I love how the other part of the theory is the microphone was sabotaged so that he was quieter. Maybe the reason is because most people at the UN are speaking kind of at this volume, and they were bringing down the gain a little bit because sometimes Trump will go out and be like, I was right about everything. The great China. They were getting ready thinking he was going to go out there screaming. Harmeet Dillon said, deport the UN. All right. Okay. Wall Street Mav said when the escalator came to a sudden halt, Secret Service just looked around hoping someone would fix the problem that wasn't supposed to happen, and it turned Trump into a stationary target. He's inside the UN building. He stands still, right? Isn't that where he is? Why did they not cover and evacuate him immediately? I think Trump would have been very upset if the escalator came to a stop and they just started dogpiling him. Mr. President, get on the ground. And like you know how hard and sharp the escalator stairs are? He's going to get all hurt, and then he's going to have even more weird colors all over his skin. He's not going to be happy about that. He's going to fall on top of Melania for the first time in decades. Oh! Excuse me. We also had some responses from the left. Newsom's office said Dozy Don was defeated by the escalator. Poor guy. The entire world is laughing at the low IQ president. Next stop, the best room at Memory Meadows Retirement Resort. Tylenol included. Enjoy your stay, Don. GCN Retirement Resort because of, Tim Waltz said, not only do they need to be fired, they need to be prosecuted the full extent of the law. It's a miracle the president ever made it up those stairs. I'm lost. There was all of this coverage, and then Jesse Waters saying this.
What's going on with the escalator? What do you think?
Yeah, they sabotaged them.
Yeah.
And they could have hurt the First Lady.
Yeah.
That was the plan, to have them temporarily stop and have to walk up the stairs so Trump's out of breath during his speech? Is that the whole scheme?
Trump would have fallen and he would have gotten back up, but,
they would have blamed it on his rhetoric.
And then they sabotaged the teleprompter.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an insurrection. And what we need to do is either leave the UN or we need to bomb it. It is in New York, though, right?
Yeah,
there could be some fallout there.
Yeah.
All right.
So again, I get that he's trying to do jokes, but especially in this political environment, can you imagine if retired Joe Biden went to go speak at the Scranton truck lot and as he was going up to the escalator, it broke, and the response from a liberal pundit, even if it was jokingly, was bomb the Scranton truck yard? That's pretty dangerous rhetoric, no? This was less dangerous, but more weird.
Daddy's not happy. He came to the UN today, and it was a total mess. Everything was broken. The escalators weren't even working. Trump and Melania were riding it up, and it just stopped. The First Lady lost her balance a bit, but steadied herself, thankfully, and then marched to the top. She could have been hurt. And the president looked over at the press and knew something was up. At first, we thought the escalator just malfunctioned, but then so did the teleprompter.
Yeah, both of which seem to be Trump's team's doing, but just a little bit more before we look at that. It wasn't just Jesse using the daddy word.
In the end, all roads lead back to Daddy Trump. You notice who these world leaders call, right?
I don't even know what to... How do you even satirize that? They're calling him daddy? What? That's weird. Wait, why would they do that? Strange. Daddy? That sounds sexual. Like, I don't even know. What's supposed to be funny about that other than it inherently? Is this whole MAGA movement just one big unresolved daddy problem? If we could just get all of the MAGAs to go have good, thoughtful conversations with their fathers, would that resolve all of this? Is that why we've been dealing with this forever? And by the way, Trump's not a good dad, so I don't know if you should put him on that pedestal. A readout of its central process. Stephanie Dutrick, spokesperson for the UN Secretary General, said in a statement that the escalator may have stopped because Trump's videographer was walking backwards to film the president and the First Lady. A readout of its central processing unit indicated that the escalator had stopped after a built-in safety mechanism on the comb step was triggered at the top of the escalator. So I also saw that it was Trump's team who was running the teleprompter. I don't know if that's true, but that the reporter said that was also them. And so maybe it's inside the Trump team that is causing the sabotage. Then Gavin Newsom posted this video, as Trump was upset about the teleprompter.
And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter because the teleprompter is not working. Your countries are going to hell. Bruh. The wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad. The best-selling hat, Gavin Newsom, was right about everything.
So during the teleprompter part, a fake teleprompter was saying, "Get off the stage, get off the stage, get off the stage." Now, you saw some of the lowlights there that we showed you yesterday, him saying he was right about everything, telling a room full of world leaders your countries are going to hell, ranting about wind, you can't do wind because you can't store energy, etc. And that was many people's take that it was a little bit, I don't know, unpresidential, but people like Ron DeSantis thought it was the best thing ever.
I agree with you. I thought it was one of the best speeches he's given on international affairs. I bet you.
Was that what the speech was? An international affairs deep dive? You can take that down. Thank you. That's all we need of you, Ron. Then you have this. Oh my gosh.
This speech was a masterstroke, but the cerebrally challenged.
It was a stroke of some kind. I don't know if it was a masterstroke. Okay, good. That's all we need of Laura. And then just a fun little bonus Sean Hannity clip.
After blindly supporting, cognitively deficient Joe Biden.
Oh, darn. That's the worst timing. I get it. What a bummer. So you can let me know in the comments if you think that this was some potentially near deadly scheme, but that feels a little bit hyperbolic to me.